All right, today we are diving deep into a huge idea that's buzzing in the crypto world. We're talking about the push to build a brand new decentralized internet. But what does it actually take to build it? And more importantly, who gets to be a part of it? Let's get into it. So let's just kick things off with a big question. What if you could help build the next version of the web? One that's way more secure, more private. And what if you could do it without having a computer science degree or, say, a garage packed with servers? Just keep that question in your head because it is right at the heart of the problem we're about to unpack. Now, to really get the solution they're proposing, we first have to understand the problem. People often call it the decentralization dilemma. Basically, it's where a fantastic idea smacks right into a real-world wall. And that fantastic idea is something called DePIN. It stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Network. Now, in plain English, it's a global network of computers and hardware. But here's the key. It's not owned by one giant corporation. Instead, it's run by tons of different people all over the world. And it's meant to power the next generation of the internet, what you might have heard of as Web 3. And here is the dilemma, the big catch. On one hand, you have this incredible dream of a truly decentralized web where everybody who participates gets to share in the rewards. But then there's the reality. Running the actual hardware, the nodes that make the network go, is really expensive and technically super complicated. This ends up pushing out all the smaller individual players, the very people you need to make a network truly decentralized in the first place. So that very challenge is what brings us to our main event today, a project called Nuvola Digital. And they are pitching themselves as the access pass for anyone who wants to get in on the action. If you dig into their white paper, Nuvola's mission is to be what they call a network expansion protocol. It's designed to do one thing, really, tear down those walls of high costs and technical know-how. The whole goal is to swing the doors wide open so that way more people can get involved in these decentralized reward systems. And this quote they use really nails their whole philosophy. The goal isn't for a company like Nuvola to replace all the individual operators out there. Nope. It's about bringing all their power together, uniting them so that lots of people can contribute to something that would be almost impossible to do on their own. So how do they plan to do this? Well, the main tool is their token, the NVL token. And one of the first things their white paper points out is this number, 21 million. That is the total number of these tokens that will ever exist. It's a fixed cap, a move that's designed to create scarcity right from the very beginning. So you can think of the NVL token as your key. It's the mechanism, the thing that lets you participate and earn a piece of the network's rewards. But, and this is the important part, without any of the technical headaches of buying, setting up, or maintaining all that complex hardware yourself. Okay, so that's the what, but how does it all actually work? I mean, how does just holding a token translate into supporting a massive global network? Let's take a look under the hood. The whole process is laid out as a pretty simple three-step cycle. First, Nuvola handles the hard part. They use their money and their expertise to set up and run all the physical hardware nodes. Second, those nodes get to work, providing services like storage or computing power to different networks. And in return, they earn rewards. And third, and this is the payoff, those rewards flow right back and are distributed to the people who hold and stake their NVL tokens. Nuvola uses this great quote from Isaac Newton in their white paper, and it's a really smart way to explain a key part of their strategy. It's a fancy way of saying they aren't trying to reinvent the wheel here. Instead, their whole model is about building on top of other existing blockchain protocols, the giants, to spread their operations across many different opportunities. And this approach points to a much bigger role they want to play. It's not just about earning rewards for themselves. By running a large number of really stable nodes, the project basically becomes a safety net for the whole ecosystem. So if some of the smaller operators have to shut down, Nuvola's infrastructure can help keep that network from collapsing. It keeps it secure, which is absolutely critical for new projects just trying to get off the ground. Okay, so this all sounds great, but it leads us to the big question for anyone thinking about participating. How does the value that's being created actually get shared? Let's break down their model. The project lays out a really clear rewards model. Check this out. Of all the rewards the nodes generate, A full 50%, that's half of everything, is earmarked to go directly to the people who are staking their NVLL tokens. The other half gets reinvested back into the project. 25% for growth, 15% for keeping the lights on, and 10% for the team. The whole idea is to have a transparent model that's really focused on rewarding the community. This chart here shows how that initial 21 million tokens gets split up. You can see the biggest slice of the pie, 67%, is for the token sale. And that makes sense, right? They need that initial capital to go out and buy all the hardware. The rest is set aside for things like the treasury, the team, market liquidity, and community airdrops, all to build a solid financial foundation to get this thing launched. So we've seen the model, but what's the scale of the opportunity we're talking about here? Let's zoom out for a second and look at the market that DePIN is trying to shake up. Okay, get ready for this. The normal centralized cloud services market, we're talking Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, that industry is worth over $1 trillion, with a T. DePIN is basically stepping into the ring as the decentralized alternative. So we're not talking about a small niche market here. This is about totally reimagining how a massive industry works. And to put that into perspective, just look at this chart of Amazon Web Services revenue. In 2013, it was a little over $3 billion. A decade later, over $90 billion. That is nearly 3,000% growth. It just shows the absolutely explosive demand for this kind of digital infrastructure. And seeing that insane growth in the centralized world leads to the biggest what if in the Nuvola white paper. The speculation is, hey, as the world starts demanding more and more decentralized services, couldn't the projects building that infrastructure see a similar explosive growth trajectory? It's a bold comparison, for sure, but it really frames the scale of what they're aiming for. To kind of bring it all home, the project frames its whole strategy with this classic quote from Caesar. It's confident, yeah, but the idea is simple. Identify the problem, see the massive opportunity, and then execute a plan to go out and conquer a piece of this new emerging market. And that's really the final vision they're putting out there. The goal isn't just to be another crypto company, it's to be a part of a much larger movement, one that wants to smash the barriers that are stopping everyday people from helping to build a more open and decentralized world for all of us. So we end up right back where we began, but now with a whole new perspective. Nuvola's model is all about simplifying things, sharing the rewards, and making the whole ecosystem stronger. And that leaves us with one last fascinating question to think about. Is this kind of approach the key that will finally unlock the decentralized web for everyone? That's all for this explainer. Thanks for joining us.